Week 5, Stress Tolerance. This week we will discuss what stress really is, how we view it, how we cope with it, what the professionals are saying about stress and stress tolerance, and what the implications are. What is stress? In my own words, stress is physical, mental, or emotional response to change, whether good or bad. Merriam-Webster defines stress as a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Baran writes that stress tolerance is described as the ability to manage emotions. Stress is usually viewed as a negative thing. It occurs when there's too much on one person's plate. Tasks seem to be never ending. Most people think reducing stress is the best way to combat stressful situations. Recent studies show, however, that a moderate level of stress and understanding how to embrace it might lead to more positive outcomes. So how do we cope with stress? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDCP, provide the following guidelines for coping with stress. They tell you to take care of yourself, eat healthy, exercise regularly, get plenty of sleep, take breaks when necessary, or talk to others, share what's on your mind with friends, family, or therapists. They also encourage you to avoid drugs and alcohol. Although these things might help temporarily, their long-term effects will increase overall stress. Finally, the CDCP encourages people to take a break. If work becomes overwhelming, take a 20-minute break, get your mind off of things, refocus. The first article that I found regarding stress was titled, Stress Coping Behaviors of Faith-Based College Non-Student Athletes versus Student Athletes. I was most interested in this article because I myself was a college athlete and dealt a lot with stress. Author R.A. Jennings studied the difference in coping behaviors between college non-student athletes and student athletes. The study itself was looking at 61 non-student athletes and 71 student athletes and having them complete these questionnaires assessing both positive and negative stress coping behaviors. Seeley's general adaptation model theory of stress was used to guide the study. A cool quote I came across while I was doing my research was one of William James. He says, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." The results of the study in college athletes versus non-college athletes identified non-student athletes as listening to music and socializing with friends and families as their most frequently used coping mechanisms, whereas the student athletes indicated that they mainly used exercise to deal with stress. Interestingly enough, neither group indicated that drinking, smoking, or involving in sexual activity helped with stress. These results are pretty reasonable as the study was conducted within a faith-based organization. It might have varied had we been looking at a state school university. The second scholarly article regarding stress was called Can We Learn to Manage Stress? A randomized controlled trial carried out on university students. The study examined the efficacy of an internet-based stress management program. I was mostly interested in this article as the internet is such a large part of life in today's society, and I wondered if internet-based coping mechanisms really could reduce stress. Results of this study indicated that internet-based stress coping programs were able to reach a large population of individuals. The positive results were limited by the lack of interpersonal relationships being built between individuals. On the other hand, online interventions and stress coping programs are most appealing to college students who don't seek or aren't interested in getting professional help. Turning now to specific examples. As an audit manager, I'm responsible for managing several members of an audit engagement. I manage multiple audits at one time and am constantly in charge of managing communications between my partners, the staff that work for my audit engagements, and the clients that I work with. Stress is part of my everyday during busy season. Throughout college, I preferred to sleep when I became stressed, and I turned to this coping mechanism early on in my career. I found that turning my mind off was helpful with coping with an overwhelming feeling. More recently, I've learned that making lists to help me organize my thoughts and keeping my to-do lists up to date really help. I also communicate my game plan. I let my bosses know exactly what I'm working on and the priority of my to-do lists. Letting them know that I can't do two things at once, but their urgent matter will indeed get addressed timely is important. As a manager, I do my best to let my staff know that I understand they may be stressed, and all I can ask for them is for them to do their best. My managers will occasionally cause undue stress, and when this occurs, I let them know that I'm feeling overwhelmed. I ask them to help me prioritize all of the things that I need to get done on my plate. Managers understand that stress is common in the workplace. As long as they encourage work-life integration, run the play that is called, and encourage their team to be communicative, stress is manageable. This week's topic is quite timely. I'm constantly stressed between the months of January and May. I work 60 plus hours during my busy season. I take classes towards getting an MBA. I'm responsible for managing my home life, and there's really little downtime. I do my best to take time for myself and my husband and focus on what's really important in life. One of my favorite partners at my firm reminds me every once in a while that we aren't saving lives. We're just auditing, and sometimes you need to set down the audit because it'll still be here when you get back tomorrow. This perspective has really helped me cope with stress, take a step back, see things a little more holistically, and decide what's really important in life. In conclusion, stress tolerance is an important piece to the emotional intelligence paradigm. Understanding what causes stress and how to manage it are imperative to effective leadership. Knowing that some stress can be healthy and capitalizing on those situations is key.